teaching methods that don't fail to help small brains go set sail, and pro-public education to ruin a great nation. It's Rhyme and Reason 937. Here's your Rhyme and Reason. Oh, yeah. Hey there, Tony here, and if you know that it's important to educate small people, kids, you know that teaching methods really do matter. Because spongy little minds soak up whatever they're taught, depending on how it's taught. At least that's how Charlotte described it. I never heard of Charlotte, or her teaching methods either, for that matter, before recently. And that's probably because we didn't raise any kids here in the Funder house. My wife and I missed out on that blessing, but we've certainly seen our fair share of kids with somewhere around 30 nieces and nephews between us. Anyway, back to Charlotte. I read some very interesting stuff about her teaching methods recently, and I gotta say, I like what I discovered. Evidently, she liked using living books as school books. That's quoting her. She wrote about how, quoting her again, living books help children gain knowledge through their own effort. They dig out the facts and information clothed in literary language, expressing what they've learned by narrating it in their own words, composing orally or in writing. And their thinking is personal, follows a train of thought, and isn't stunted by a page of multiple choice. And by the way, Miss Charlotte Mason died a little over 100 years ago, but homeschoolers still use her teaching methods because apparently they still work. And remember the old saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And she believed teachers didn't need to be trained to give lectures because she also believed kids could educate themselves to a degree by narrating from the well-chosen words of authors. And she also said that too much explaining by a teacher elicits boredom. And true education is self-education. How many times have you ever heard kids say, school was so boring? When you think about it, especially if you're a lifelong learner, you understand how that's all true because your mind should stay spongy and ready to soak up information at your own pace. And that's why Miss Mason's method provided no bells to announce the end of hour-long class periods. And I like this description of a typical day in one of Charlotte's schools. And this is quoting from an article I read. Children are free to move promptly on to the next lesson. When drills and skills are kept short, children develop the power of attention. Dawdling is discouraged. Students are encouraged to give their best effort. Education is a discipline. So this means establishing good and helpful habits built one action at a time, one day at a time. Still quoting, education is an atmosphere. With living books, children are motivated by a love of knowledge rather than artificial stimulants such as prizes, stickers, candy, money. They're motivated by competition and grades. They retained their inborn curiosity. Cramming for tests is avoided. Examinations require the child to narrate what was read during the semester. And that's the end of that quote. Maybe you've read or heard some version of this before. Small minds focus on people, mediocre minds focus on things, and great minds focus on ideas. Yes, you heard that? Miss Mason wanted to inspire a love for knowledge in her students because, as she said, ideas are what the mind feeds on. Another thing I really like about Charlotte's teaching methods is how she included outdoor activities and exercise. That's really cool. She encouraged kids to get out and observe nature, and to keep a nature notebook. These days, it's called a journal, but the point is, it's a record of your observations. And it just so happens I published a couple of songbook journals for your consideration. Be sure to look for the links to those. From a nature notebook or journal, it's just a small step to art and music appreciation. And Miss Mason believed those subjects were crucial to a young kid's culture and heritage. And I believe those subjects, especially music, help develop a kid's analytical thinking, not just the emotional gunk taught in government indoctrination camps these days. Just in case you think your kid, or anybody's kid for that matter, wouldn't like Charlotte's old-fashioned teaching methods, here's the clincher. There's no homework. Well, no typical homework as you might remember it. The Charlotte Mason homeschooling method goes like this. Children apply their minds during morning lessons. Afternoons are for running, climbing, and yelling outdoors. And crafts, chores, life skills, music practice, and more playing, all at home, are their homework. I don't know about you, but I would have loved that kind of school. And it's the kind of school I attend on a daily basis as a lifelong learner. And here's a rhyme to help you remember why learning is so important, so you can start learning about the one living Lord. Put knowledge inside your head. And when you read something he has to say, go back and read what you read. As you get older, you'll see what I mean. Go add and subtract and spell. Then learn all about the one living Lord. He made you and loves you so well. And here's a little conversation between me and a friend, let's say. Me saying, "Of course I'm pro-public education. Why would you want to keep education a secret?" The friend says, "Actually, pro-public education means you're all for public schools." And of course I reply, "Wait, what? Well, of course I'm not that kind of pro-public education." And the friend says, "Whew, thank goodness. I thought you might be a closet Brandon dude." Okay, that never happened. I just made it up to get you ready for this next rough stuff, okay? It's going to get rough. Because I know what it means. And I know it only means trouble for kids and parents of kids. The only reason I even brought it up is because of some social media posts I saw recently. Check out these samples. They're all from accounts on X, formerly known as Twitter. First quote off of there. "Joe Biden leads the most pro-public education, pro-union administration in modern history. His positive and caring vision for America is one that educators share, and we know he will continue to deliver for students and families." It's hard to read that with a straight face because that was a quote from someone who's obviously blind, deaf, and stupid. Okay, here's another one. "I'm a kindergarten teacher, and every day I make my students choose new pronouns, and when they recite the Pledge of Allegiance, they have to say pride flag instead of flag of the United States of America, and gay instead of God." Wow, if you saw that one written out, you could see the horrible grammar and all the typos, and depending on who says what, that post either is one of the stupidest ever, or it came from a public school teacher parody account. I'm not sure which. Even if the parody account version is true, you can bet there are plenty of teachers in government indoctrination camps who feel and write that way. And here's another post that's even worse. This so-called person used a group of hashtags to send a despicable message out to the masses because they want to start their sexual orientation grooming of kids as early as 3 and 4 years old. Imagine that. Nah, don't imagine that. Here's a bunch of hashtags they used. Hashtag Pride, hashtag Pride Month, hashtag Drag, hashtag BU, hashtag Early Childhood Education, hashtag Pre-Primary, hashtag Learning Through Play, hashtag Art. Now let those sink in a little bit and think about how those are used in ways that are definitely not the way you and I would use them. Thankfully, there are social accounts on X who are out there fighting the fight against people like this. And here's 2 examples. PSA, don't worry about the world standards for your kids. They are a failure. Academically speaking, are focused on pushing a culture of sex, racism, and socialism. Ditch the state and raise countercultural children who read, write, and think with excellence. I love that, especially the part about countercultural children who read, write, and think with excellence. And here's the other post. Our children deserve an environment that fosters true learning and critical thinking, not one that promotes fear and compliance. Public schools have shown time and again that they prioritize control over education. Now that one tells the truth, but it focuses on the problem, not the solution. Maybe you or someone you know is still on the fence about it. Maybe you're still pro-public education. I hope not. But as long as you breathe, it's not too late to do something incomparably amazing for kids, and that's to homeschool them. Here's a hint that it's a terrible idea to send them to government schools. The government says it's a good idea. That's a hint that it's a terrible idea. This isn't a problem that comes from politicians with a D by their name. It's an issue supported in some way by 99.9% of all politicians, and that means 99.9% are socialists. Many of them have no clue they are, but they are. Socialism is here now, despite what any politician with any letter next to his or her name says. And if your government officials have anything to say about it, and they do, socialism isn't the last step. So they'll keep pushing the pro-public education agenda till they completely ruin this once great nation. Okay, now I'm going to take my own advice and not just focus on the problem. Here's a solution in a rhyme. You might win a few things in this life, and you might even win a lot. But you'll lose everything if you don't trust the King who has given you all that he's got. Know that nothing is too hard for God. He can help you through all of your fears. If your gold turns to rust or your diamonds to dust, only God can dry all of your tears. Make the most of the moments you have. They fly by in the blink of an eye. Don't waste time in the dark. Jump inside of the ark of God's love. Kiss the old life goodbye. And on that note, I'll say goodbye for a time till the next episode of the Rhyme and Reason podcast. And until then, remember to go over to TonyFunderburk.com, the only sponsor of this show, and jump on the Rhyme and Reason bandwagon. That way you can join a growing band of believers who enjoy my books. You'll even get free ones, daily rhymes, songs, and videos about the rhyme and reason and power of God's love.